All right, everybody, and bonjour to all of my friends out there in Facebook land. Today, I am being joined online here by my friends Nia Sefuzati and Daniela Waddell. They are joining us from Avignon, France. And I'm also being joined today by all of my Patreon supporters who are here live, and they're going to be able to ask questions of our guests. So what we're going to do today is we're going to have a nice walk through Avignon, and then we're going to have a break partway through where I'm going to unmute all of our participants, and then we're going to be able to talk to Nina and Daniela, and then they're going to finish off showing us their hometown. So let's get back to Nina and Daniela. Hello, my friends, and thank you for joining us today from beautiful Avignon. Let me unmute you. There you go. Have you been unmuted? Daniela and we both keep doing it. Okay, you don't touch, I'll touch it. Ready? Here we go. Unmute you. Okay, you need to unmute you, I think. Go ahead. There we go.
Oh, yeah. Right. Modern technology. Woo!
All right. Bonsoir, Nina and Daniela. So Nina and Daniela have been colleagues of mine for a number of years. Gosh, Daniela, I've known you for what, 20 years, 15 years?
No, 15 about.
Forever.
Yes.
Forever. So,
hello, everyone.
So I'm a little more recent. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a little more recent. So Nina is originally from Denmark and lives in Avignon, and Daniela originally is from Munich, but also lives in Avignon. So why don't you guys go ahead and take it away and tell us a little bit about what we're going to be seeing today.
All right. So welcome to Avignon. Avignon, some of you might have been here. You've been there, right, Sarah? You've been in Avignon, I think. And so Avignon is kind of a busy town here tonight, less busy than usual though, because normally we have a theater festival in Avignon, but that is obviously cancelled, so you know what. So what we're going to show you is, well, for the moment being, we're near the main square. We'll take you through some narrow streets towards another square, which is called the Pope's Palace Square, because guess what? There's a Pope's Palace, not just in the Vatican, but there were popes here in Avignon in the 14th century. And we will take a little walk around the square and continue through the medieval streets of Avignon and show you maybe a church or two, because we have 7 churches
inside the walls. So this wall.
Yeah. So we're inside the walled part of the city, right? The old part of the city. There are approximately 3 miles of wall around us, which is quite rare in France to have a full wall from the 14th century. At all.
We are in southern France, by the way. So for those that maybe have not been here, we are in southern France. We are in the region of Provence. We are about 80 kilometers or 100 kilometers north of Marseille. And kind of sitting in between, if you look at the map, in between Marseille and Lyon, which is quite handy also as far as logistically. We are in 2 hours, 30 minutes with the fast train in Paris, or 40 minutes, I exaggerate. And so flying, if we can fly, is sorry, is easy also. So this is a great location. It's very hot. We have Mediterranean climate. It's probably at about we're in the 90s, high 90s right now.
So it's a little. If we look a little sweaty,
it's 8 o'clock in the evening, so this is handy for us.
It's better now than it was at 12 o'clock. I can assure you.
All right.
Right. Should we start walking then? Right. So we're actually here in front of the city hall. We're going to go a little further here so you can see more of it. The main square of Avignon, which is called Place de l'Horloge, which means, Daniela, Place de l'Horloge means?
It's the square of the clock tower.
Right. do we have a clock tower here? Can we see a clock tower on the square?
No, we cannot see a clock tower here.
It's French logic for you, isn't it? It's called the clock tower square, but there's not the clock tower. Anyhow, the clock tower is actually, well, it's hidden inside, if you want, the city hall that we have.
Can you see it?
Yeah, you can see the city hall part of it. Here behind us, we'll go a little further to see more of it. The city hall is 19th century. Like the square here was laid out many more centuries before that, but the actual building behind us is 19th century. And the city hall Well, we just had a municipal election, and we got our mayor back that we had before. It's a woman. Yay. Not saying women are better than men in politics, just that we need them, right? And she's a socialist, by the way. And like, so the mayor of Avignon has done a lot to open up the city, pedestrian streets, putting more bicycles.
Which we enjoy very much.
We ride bicycles, both of us, because inside the walls, it's just ridiculous to try to have a car, right? It's impossible. We have 16,000 inhabitants inside the walls, and outside the walls, where you have to add almost 80,000 more, 80,000 more outside the walls. So it's kind of a big city sprawling out outside the walls.
And Avignon actually is really beautifully placed, isn't it? Because it's a home base in Avignon. There's so much to do around there. You can go to Arles, you can go to Orange, you can go to Aix-en-Provence. So it really is, I mean, I think it's a spectacular place for people who are vacationing to just stay. Right?
And it's great also for, I mean, you can go to the Mediterranean, as said. So Marseille is at the Mediterranean, so you're there in an hour. So we did that last weekend, for example. And but then on the other hand, you have also the mountains very close. The Alps, we're very close to the Alps. We have Mont Ventoux here, where the Tour de France goes through, talking about biking and outdoors. So rolling hills, wine country, beautiful countryside.
Well, can you see the carousel behind us?
You can. There's a lot of ambient noise too. It sounds like it's a
Well,
busy
because we're close.
night.
Well, can you see the restaurants?
Yeah, if you go like this, you can see we're really surrounded by restaurants here. Can you see it?
Yeah, well, and one thing we talked about before we started was, you know, the big difference, of course, between the US and France right now is nobody's wearing masks, right?
Yeah, that is kind of the problem, if I can say. But we're supposed to wear masks indoors. Whenever you're indoors and you are in a, like you're in a restaurant, you want to go to the restrooms, you have to put a mask on. You go from your table to the restrooms, you put a mask on.
Because in the summer now, people sit outside. So people sit on the terraces outside. Nobody sits inside. Outside, we don't have to wear masks. Inside, yes. And it was recently, just 2 weeks ago, reinstalled, because before it was not by law. It was not mandatory that you wear masks. And so less and less people have worn masks at the end of June. It got really down. And now it is better. So also in supermarkets and so on, inside you have to wear masks. It gets better again, or it got better. But I was also saying, so here now on the chairs, otherwise no, there's no.
If you take a look at people behind us here, some have masks. Some
social distancing is also very challenging for a lot of people. So we are considering ourselves family. That's why we are close without masks. But otherwise, are you still here?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Because the image was gone. The image was gone.
Are you? Anyway, so. Bonjour, we have a gentleman saying bonjour behind us. They're also kind in France, right? They always say bonjour. I want to be part of the story here. No, but obviously the mask is a big discussion here. It may be not as political as it is in other countries. But it's more like, oh, you know, who cares? You know, we should die of something, or the young people feeling invincible, as they always do. They always done all over the world. Yeah. But yeah, I get worried. I mean, I don't want to be in big crowds. I don't want to go to anywhere where there's a big crowd. I don't feel comfortable with that. But you know.
And they said the big festivals are annulled. All the big, so this big festival here, international festivals are annulled, or in any other place across Europe too. But nevertheless, so then there are these spontaneous gatherings, or gatherings of 50 people, where well, we know that people are together. So it is very individual. It is not political at all here. It is individual, but of course it also separates people with the different opinions. And there's a lot of discussion on how to react when people do not wear the mask and are close to you. How do you react? This is how the discussions that you have in all countries. But anyway, we get beautiful light now. We see that.
Yeah, we're getting towards the golden hour. So we're going to actually, well, we're moving away from here, the main square. I don't know if you got to see much of the main square, but you can see behind us here, you can see all the terraces, right? Filled with people. Because in spite of the fact that we don't have the theater festival, I'll come back to a little bit more about the theater festival. So in spite of the fact that we don't have the festival, we do have visitors. We do have tourists, right?
Is basically the only country in which the majority of the people
Oh,
seem
sorry,
to
we
have
got
a
somebody
problem with
who was
wearing
unmuted. There we go. Sorry.
We heard somebody, but yeah. Right. So yeah. So in spite of the festival being cancelled, there's still people, as you can see around us here. It's mainly French now. It's mainly French visitors from mainly Paris, where they were cooped up in small apartments. So now they're out. But Avignon has always been a big, important place to go for a lot of people because of the festival, because of, as you said, Sarah, it's so well situated. You can so easily go to a city like Arles, south of us, lots of Roman ruins and the countryside, the Mediterranean coast is really easy. But Avignon itself is quite an interesting place also, right? We have this history here that is important.
So do you want me to show, I have a couple of photos of that festival that you're talking about. You want me to show people what?
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah.
Go ahead and look at those.
Yep. So the festival I'm talking about is a theater festival. That was the times of the crowd. Can you see? So this festival was created in 1947, right after the Second World War. Right, big ideas about bringing culture to the people and being outside Paris. And the festival was also created because there was a need of entertainment after the Second World War. Right?
Mm-hmm.
So 1947, I was just inside the Pope's Palace. We're coming up to the Pope's Palace here in a few seconds. There's a courtyard inside the palace. See, that is the photo of the courtyard. And it started there. Nowadays there would be, well, not this year, right? Nowadays there would be room for 2,000 spectators in that courtyard there. And it's mainly classical, used to be mainly classical theater. The modern parts of theater and entertainment came a little later. So you'd say essentially from the 1960s, we have this revolution in the theater festival, where we get a fringe festival. So from being this quite classical and quite, little educated festival, I would say, then 1968, because of the youth revolt and everything that was going on all over the world, they decided they were going to create a fringe festival. So you might have heard about the festival in Edinburgh, right in Scotland, where they also had the fringe festival. So here we call it the Off Festival. We'll just go a little further here. Right, we'll just
quite a busy Saturday night there in Avignon. It's kind of nice to see everybody out and having a good time, because I think a lot of people have the impression that Europe is empty right now, and that doesn't seem to be.
It's not empty.
Well, we are staying at home also. We are not leaving, so we reshuffle Europe with ourselves. Well, I mean that's what happens. Yeah.
No, but it's interesting when you look at what we have here around us, right? That you can see the visitors, and I can hear essentially French around us. Essentially French. A little bit of maybe Dutch,
a lot
Swiss,
of Belgium, Dutch,
German,
Swiss.
maybe.
Yeah.
We were trying to get away from that musician there.
Sounds like
Beautiful drums, beautiful drums.
Bongos in the background. Anyway, so now I just want to turn around here because what you can't see, where we're going to go, we go like this. And we go like that. So,
beautiful.
Step out of the way. You should be able to see.
Can you see? Try to film it. Like this. So this is a little house for the Pope, built in the 14th century. And you might wonder why the Pope was here. Right? Why wasn't he Rome? See, we have this situation why Avignon suddenly became the seat for the Pope. popes was that there were almost civil wars in Italy. You know that. You've been working in Italy, so 14th century is not an easy century for Italy. So we have city-states, it's not one country, and the Pope felt a little unsafe. So the Church actually decided, in choosing a French-born Pope in 1309, Clement V, that this was going to be the place for the popes, not in Italy, but here in Avignon. And Avignon was chosen because it was in the county of France. I was not thinking of France. And in just 20 years, they built this immense palace. When I say immense, it's 15,000 square meters, 150,000 square feet, which, if you compare with the Vatican, it's small, right? Vatican is more than that, of course, but just imagine that you would have this Pope's Palace built in the 14th century in just 20 years. Imagine that, 20 years. I mean, churches, it took them hundreds of years to build. So the Pope's Palace, yeah. So, yeah.
And the style that we look at is Gothic style.
It is, for sure. Well,
so
it's
if you
Gothic,
recognize
yeah.
it, pointed arches, big walls still, then that would be early Gothic down here in Provence in the south, because we are not having so much Gothic as we have further up north. So that's probably what a lot of you recognize in this world.
But do you consider it a palace? Because a lot of visitors I have, local guiding here.
Show the granulation maybe, because then it becomes clearer that it is very fortress-alike.
Look at the very top. You would see the towers, right? Fortified towers, crenellations. It is for sure this fortified palace, not just a palace, but a fortified palace, a fortification.
Which makes sense when you think about that the Pope were actually fleeing from Rome. So you arrive at a point, at a place where you're probably scared or insecure, or already have that in mind. So you build a fortification for eventual more problems to come on a different place.
And there was another problem in 1348, which, becomes a little coco right now. It's the plague, right? The plague 1348 obviously made things much more unsafe also. But the thing about the Pope's Palace, we still call it the Pope's Palace, but we have not seen a Pope in Avignon since 1403. It's been a while. Not even visiting popes, right? Not even John Paul II, who traveled everywhere around the world, I think. Because, well, for a lot of people, this was the seat for the anti-popes, or schismatic popes, if that somebody rings a bell for some people. It is this story about how the popes are away from Rome, and so they're supposed to be in Rome. Why they're supposed to be in Rome, by the way? Why is the Vatican where the Vatican is?
Tell us.
I love this story. No, the thing is that you have the popes away from St. Peter's tomb, and St. Peter, as Jesus said, "You are the rock upon which my church will be built." So the popes were supposed to be where St. Peter is buried. But in this case, safety was more important than being by St. Peter. So the popes being away from Rome were, some people, actually seen and described as, little being Christians. We're talking about anti-popes a little later in the history of Avignon. But the first 7 popes were actually elected popes and officially recognized by the Catholic Church. Finally, there was one of them moving back to Rome. And with 1378, and then came an election of 2 popes. Then it gets complicated. There was even a third pope in Pisa at a given moment. So the Pope's Palace is there to, let's say, show us this quite short span in history of Avignon. I mean, Avignon has existed for approximately 4,000 years, if you count the years before the Romans and all the rest, right? But the 14th century was such a fascinating and important part of the history, because not only they built the Pope's Palace, they also built churches or rebuilt churches.
The whole city phase has
The
changed.
whole
Actually,
city,
it's like what the 19th century is for Paris with renovation and restructure and everything. That was what the 14th century was for Avignon. So because we have to imagine, it's like when you move, let's say, a huge don't misunderstand me, but a huge a government seat is moved. So there's not just the president, not just the chancellor, or however you call it. No, everyone goes, every minister. So we had the whole city full with new palaces to be built. We have to imagine the whole city full of a construction area, pretty much. Maybe some of you recall still when the government in Germany moved from Bonn to Berlin and how Berlin looked like after reunification. That's how we have to imagine. So one big construction. That's why we have a lot of 14th century, 15th century architecture here in Avignon. We do not have a lot of Roman architecture visible, actually, because all of that was destroyed at that point, which didn't happen in oil, and which makes it very exciting to visit both of the cities, actually, which we maybe can do at some point.
We'll
take
you to
all.
time. We'll take you to all over there, yeah. No, and then what happened, right? I was saying the last Pope in 1403, and we haven't seen a Pope since. Well, see, the church was actually the owner of the city. The Catholic Church bought the city, which means that the building behind us here, see that?
Can you see the sculptures?
Yeah, this is so just across from the Pope's Palace, right? And here we are actually in the century, plus again, 17th century. A very Italian style facade, right, Sarah? You can see it maybe reminds you of Florence, these palazzos, palazzi, plural.
It's a strange combination, actually, because the base looks very much like a Florentine palazzo, but the top looks like something out of the Baroque.
I know. It's an odd building. It is.
And you have Renaissance in there too. If you look at the Rustica on the bottom, so it's a nice mix. It's very eclectic. Very eclectic, we could call it.
Exactly.
Yeah. But the reason for a house, it was not a private family's house. In this case, we're in the 17th century, and this was the mint, meaning this is where the Catholic Church actually made their coins, right? So the papal mint, Hotel de Monnaie, I say in French, and they put up a little bit of sculpturing on the upper part. That upper part there, the sculpturing. Maybe we can see where we are, but the sculpturing talks about one of the, we would call him an ambassador. The Catholic Church called him a legate, and he is not sculpted himself, but his symbols sculpted on the upper part of the wall. So that upper part of the wall is actually about the symbols of the Borghese family. Right, the Borghese family, quite famous. Borghese family, one of their members were actually became a pope, and that's why we have this construction here, thanks to that Borghese pope in Avignon. Let's go a little further, maybe this way here. Daniela's getting
reconnected. Sorry, I take pictures along the way.
So Daniela is also a very talented photographer. So that's her other line of work right now, is taking beautiful art photographs.
And I was thinking for today, I don't know, we were talking with Sarah, maybe it would be a nice thing to take a couple pictures, and those of you that feel like can have a look at them later on. I'm gonna take that out, but the light is just perfect, beautiful. So it shows. The days get shorter, we were just saying already. So the sun sets here right now at around 9 o'clock, shortly after 9.
Which is in half an hour, actually. I was thinking about we can move up a little. We're trying to get away from the bongos. But
yeah, let's go away from the bongos.
But moving a little
nice
further
and
up.
atmospheric, though, so we get a sense of what French nightlife is like. So.
Well, you can see what
it's aperitif time. So it's the evening start. The restaurant slowly starting to fill. It's Friday, so everything is late. Everything is a nice place. So right now over there is a big terrace, so people gather on the terrace, la terrace, and drinking an aperitif, like in Italy the same, or in Spain, and rather Mediterranean kind of. So having the before dinner drink, which can be anything if you feel like.
So in France, they do the kind of thing like we do in Italy, where you buy the cocktail at 6 o'clock for 10 euros, and then it comes with a whole bunch of nibbles.
Aperocena.
Aperocena. No, they have apericena there.
No, not so much. No, but so it's the typical thing is that also the same as in Italy, we don't drink alcohol in general without eating something with it. So you would always get your nibbles, your unhealthy, wonderful, good tasting chips. Or peanuts or whatever, so or olives for the matter down here in the Mediterranean, of course we love our olives, So that's what you get, and then you would nibble on and get more thirsty because that's all, of course, very salty. And then you move on to have your dinner. No, aperitif, no, we don't have it.
Well, in France, it's aperitif, right? But aperitif, well, can I say just as a Dane? I mean, I've been invited to French parties and family celebrations, etc. And you have the aperitif like what, 7:30, 8-ish?
Weekend, yeah.
And then you have aperitif, so you have a glass of wine or whatever drink you would like to get. And then with a little bit of nibbles, chips, etc. And you actually start eating like maybe 9:30, 10 o'clock. I mean,
I remember that too. When I arrived in France, I thought like, oh my God, I'm starving, and we're still not eating. What's going on? And but now I have to say, when I go back to Germany or to Northern Europe, then I feel very stressed actually. When everything goes so fast, when you arrive, half an hour later we eat, and like, what's going? Oh, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready. But
You're not mentally ready yet. Yeah. So is that a Provençal thing, or is that just a French thing in general to eat so late?
No, we see the further you go south, the later it becomes, right? Also because of the heat, just simply. I mean, like today, I'm not hungry. I might be hungry like in an hour or so. But
Yeah.
it's normal thinking about the climate, right? Just the sunshine and the heat, etc. But I would say that something you find all over France, in Paris.
People eat around 8 o'clock. And also, it's no problem. The same also with children. They are used to eat and go to bed afterwards. So I know there's a lot of this idea of, oh, you cannot eat and go to bed. Well, if your stomach is trained from little on, you actually can do it. And breakfast is also small. There's nothing big. So that's at least down here.
Oh, hello, kitty.
Oh, this is
Le chat.
Le chat.
Should we take a little pause maybe?
Yeah, I was going to say, is it kind of quiet there so we can unmute everybody and then
go a little bit away?
Yeah, let's find a little quiet place.
Yeah.
So those
Okay,
of you who are following along here on Zoom,
What we're gonna do?
go ahead and I'm going to unmute in just a second.
Sarah, wait, Sarah.
Yeah. Okay, fine. I was just thinking if we could sit down somewhere. Or... We're standing, right? Wait, can you see we have a nice view there for the questions?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Okay.
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 So if it's a nice quiet spot, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and unmute all of the participants on the Zoom call. And those of you who are joining us on this, you guys are welcome to ask questions. So do we have any questions from our viewers who are on Zoom? Let's unmute you. It's taking time to unmute you. Or you can unmute yourself if you have a question. How about? Unmute. There we go. Well, while we're trying to get that technological thing solved here, I'm just wondering, so what do you guys like to do in the summertime when it's so hot? Because I mean, I know Daniela was telling me earlier today she feels like her feet are melting. So like, what is it
because
you do?
Because so this is good that you asked that because it couldn't be more contrary what people do. So that shows how different people react. So what do you do?
Well, I'm a Nordic person. She's in southern Germany, so she's also the southerner, right? But no, the thing is that, and I'm getting older also, right?
I don't get older.
Is that I tend to work, right? Normally, I do work in the morning, the afternoon, etc. Now I'm not working, right? So what am I doing? Well, I'm trying to get some work, obviously. But otherwise, you try to do as much as you can in the morning. Like get up early, maybe like 7-ish, and then get your cleaning done and all the hardworking stuff. And then a lot of people actually like go inside their homes, close the shutters, right? So they have less sunshine inside, and that you would stay inside for a siesta, just simply the sacred siesta. Right?
Because that is also what people often comment on when they go to the southern Europe, that when you drive, for example, let's say you drive with a group, you go through, that you have the shadows, everything is closed. It looks like there's nobody's living there. That's not the case. Actually, people do live there. They're either gone and work and have closed their shadows because most of us don't have air conditioning. Now more and more people do have air conditioning, but generally there are a lot of houses where people don't, like mine, for example, not. And so the only way what you can do is that you block out the sunlight, and that's what you do. And then, yeah, okay, moving. So I have, for me, I'm lucky I have a north side in my apartment and a south side. So I'm moving with the sun where it's cooler. But then otherwise, so it is funny, I have a different strategy. I love to bike. And so I go outside and bike because I actually feel it's cooler outside biking. I mean, we had today 37 degrees. It's hot, but the wind, it's for me, it's better. And my feet are not so, like I was telling, not so nothing, what I was telling you today. But very different. Generally, people just try not to go outside.
Yeah. All right. So my friends who are unmuted on the call now, I've got Patty and Patricia and Catherine and Janice and Christine and Ben and Barbara. Do any of you guys have questions you'd like to ask to Daniela or Nina? Just go ahead and jump in.
I'd like to ask about the river. What kinds of activities might be going on in the summertime near the river?
Well, yeah, great question, because I was going to say when you need a little coolness, right? Well, we do not swim in the river. You know, the river that we have here is the Rhone River, right? The majestic river coming from north. So the Rhone River has been, I would say, avoided to go in there. You don't swim in it because it's violent. But more and more so we have activities like kayaking, canoeing. You can have little boat rides, for instance, from Avignon, you cross the Rhone River to go to another city just across the river here, Villeneuve-les-Avignon. So yes, the river is used for activities, not swimming, right? Because that would be dangerous.
Can you hear us? Because there's a little bit of wind on the microphone.
Actually, we can hear you better than we've been able to hear you so far.
Okay, well, that's
perfect.
great. So,
Perfect. Yeah, we're getting away from the noise here, so yeah. Right, so yes, the Rhone River, a little bit of boating activities. You can rent a boat, obviously, also. So a little bit, we have people who would be, for instance, sailing, maybe they rented a boat, they're going down from Lyon, or they are on one of the canals in France, close to us here. It's a canal from Rhone to Seine, and then they come into the Rhone River. So yeah, quite a bit of activities. But if you want to swim, body of water, it would be the Mediterranean, which is so close to us here. So it's not a problem to get down there. There's some beautiful sandy beaches. I mean, it's just miles and miles of sandy beaches. I always say that we have better beaches here than on the Riviera, the French Riviera, right? Because
Wow,
they're like little pebbly kind of.
yeah.
But anyway, yeah, no, but it's just because we're maybe less people than on the Riviera, right? So more space. Obviously, right nowadays it's a good thing also. Did that answer the question?
Yeah.
Yes.
Any other questions from our viewers who are with us today? Let's jump in. Kaja?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey.
anybody?
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm just curious about hiking in the area.
Yeah. Oh, lots of good hiking here. I mean, the hiking, let's see, you could just go on a bike and half an hour, no, 45 minutes maybe from here, you'd be Pont du Gard, direction north of us, which is a Roman aqueduct, and the hillsides around it's beautiful. South of us, we have another chain of hills, not that high, right? But it's called the Alpilles Hills, Alpilles.
or the Luberon, Peter Mail's favorite, Peter Mail's famous Luberon mountain range. It's a hill range. It's beautiful. So as far as hiking, biking, it's wonderful outdoor country here. So you really don't have to go very far. And you have very well marked paths. You can walk, you can hike through vineyards. You have the vineyards around. You can hike through or walk, hike. You really can choose if you want to hike or walk through olive orchards. You can have a lot of uphill. You can have a flat. It's very easy in all the Office of Tourism, the tourist offices. They have maps, and you find plenty of information. And we are actually there's a lot of activity.
Yeah, I usually say that we actually have
but in summer it's very hot, and what is very important, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it's very important because if you come individually here in summer after the end of June, a lot of the areas are actually closed off because of the danger of fire. So what we see now very, very much is there's a sign and it's blocked off, and you're not allowed to go inside until the end of August, except on certain days. So there will be signs, kind of like going swimming in the sea when the red flag is up, you're not allowed to go. So this is, and depends a lot on the wind. We have the famous Mistral wind here, as you know, so the famous north wind that channels down the Rhone River Valley. And so if there's a spark, then the fire will go very quickly. And we have forest fires here. So, but if you go to the Office of Tourism, they know, or you get this information. Wonderful, beautiful, beautiful hikes, beautiful possibilities for all different levels also. And biking too. I'm just throwing this in because it is beautiful here. Europeans come from all over the place to bike here.
And if anybody ever wants to do a biking tour, Daniela would
yes,
be your woman. You'd want to
Please,
go on a tour with
absolutely,
her.
absolutely.
Oh, she
yes,
can organize
yes.
that.
I will. That's what I did and do. Yes.
Yeah. So any other questions from our viewers?
I was just going to ask about the biking.
Mm-hmm.
Is that mostly in town or out on country
No.
roads? Or
No, it's out on country roads, but you have to be aware when you go biking here that you don't have shoulders on the roads. So they are small, in between the fields, in between the orchards, you have small country roads where you don't have a lot of traffic, but you will eventually at some point also find yourself on a bigger road where you have traffic. And even though we get more and more bike paths, and you find bike paths now, you can organize. It takes a little bit of organization, but it's doable. But it is good to be okay if you have to ride maybe from time to time also with the cars around you. But it is there's a lot of possibilities.
and rental bikes are pretty available, easily
Yes,
accessible.
they are. There are companies that rent bikes. It depends what you look for. I mean, if you want a race bike, then of course something it's a little bit more specific.
No.
But if you want like a, well, I don't know, but otherwise there are companies. You can also just check that out. Bike rental in Provence or in Avignon or wherever your would be your location and where you are. And a lot of hotels or smaller bed and breakfast and so on offer also that service.
And you do biking tours, is that what I heard?
Yes, yeah.
Awesome, okay.
Yeah. Well, and
So if you
actually,
have more questions, then you can.
with the collective that we're putting together, which
Yes.
is going to launch next Monday, anybody who's watching, if you need a travel consultation, for example, or you want to hire a local guide like Nina, or you want to do a biking tour with Daniela, that's part of the concept of our alliance, is that we're going to be able to help you out with whatever travel needs you might have. So starting Monday,
That will be great. Yes.
everything will be clear.
available.
Patricia Egan, you've got a question. Thanks for raising your hand.
Yes, I had spent some time in the area, but got stuck doing too much traveling because of train strikes, which are always a lot of fun in France. So I was in Arles and I met a friend in Saint-Maurier and I went to Pont de Garde and I wanted to go back and explore more of the area. What's a good base, and can I do a lot of it without a car, just by train? What's a good base for a good train station?
Well, Avignon has a great train station, right? You can from Avignon go to the major cities. Obviously, if you want to go to smaller villages or in the countryside, then it means renting a car or bicycling. Obviously, we do have buses, right?
Or have
There
a
is,
tour,
yeah.
do day trips with
Yeah.
with a
local
local
guide.
guide. They organize that. Yes.
Obviously, we have some public transportation, right? But and Avignon is great for the train connections. But again, if you like to do some more and do a little more, I would say, discovery, right, of the area, then it might be good to rent a car.
Yeah.
Or
have
Or rent a guide.
have a
Or rent a
guide,
guide.
have a private guide.
Or rent a
with,
guide,
with
yes, that's a
vehicle.
preference.
With a vehicle, yes,
with a car.
Yes.
yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
You
All right. Any other questions?
do you see where
from
we
our
are?
friends?
Sorry.
No, show us where you are. We can't quite see. And if there are
Yes,
any
do
other
you see
questions
this is
from
quite
the
dramatic. I
audience,
love
go ahead,
that
jump in.
here.
Yeah.
I
Can you
love
see
that
that?
here. So we are in a teeny tiny alley, actually in between the Pope's Palace and the rock, where there's a building also built on top. So it is darker here. Can you see? It's probably hard to get a feeling, but maybe when we go
Oh,
outside.
it's cool. Yeah, no, I
yeah.
can see it.
Yeah, and there's a huge buttress. Can you see the buttress above us? The flying buttress. Can you see it? Yeah. Okay. So this is where the Pope's Palace big chapel leans on the rock. I love this corner here. So that's
But you can see the actual bare rock right, that we're surrounded by on each side of the street here. It's just simply the bare rock. So you get an idea of how the street was just simply cut through the rock to have a street, and then to cross the street and to support the construction of the Pope's Palace, then a little flying buttress helped a little bit. Yeah.
Give
So, yeah.
some.
So, and I want to say, obviously, this is a very quick street because of the bare rock, but the size of the street is kind of what you have a lot of in Avignon. A lot of these narrow streets going back to the medieval days, right? Were there any more questions? Yeah, that kind of just bumped in there.
Go ahead and jump in if you got a question. Otherwise, we'll go ahead and continue.
In between,
on.
just maybe I just wanted to mention as I look straight ahead, and maybe we can show you what we are looking at and what draws this thought of mine. Is that we have these small streets here. The city has not expanded because we are talking about intramuros, so in the city walls inside. And so what I found interesting is really here in Avignon is that there is not one building actually, except maybe the Pope's Palace, which is already big enough in itself, but nevertheless actually not. There's not one building where you can just walk around. Everything is clustered against another building that has grown in a gap that was in between at a certain time, or has been changed in between. So this is what I find quite fascinating, and you can see that here. So you have all these different different times maybe, or different structures, and different families have lived there, different lives have been living there. So this is something I keep in my mind always, and in my heart when I walk around here in my hometown. That it is very organic. It is very organic. It grew very organic.
But it's very mineral also.
Yes, it's very mineral.
Meaning what I think is that you have all these stone constructions, right? It's all limestone. Right? Look at that tower there of the Pope's Palace. We're still, by the way, walking around the Pope's Palace.
Yes.
So so all of this stone around us here, obviously it can be a little impressive sometimes. It gets that mineral kind of feeling to it, but on the other hand, it's such
oppressive.
a beautiful, a little oppressive. Yeah.
It's not very green. We have one olive tree here coming up,
Yeah.
which is of course the mother tree here of this area, together with the cypress trees. You know, the pointy trees that you're probably familiar with, olive trees, big olive culture here.
Just take a look at the olive tree here.
And there are some olives on. I don't know about the quality.
Voila, so a little olive tree.
We are almost coming to one of our favorite squares, no?
Oh, do we have just one favorite square now?
Well, no, one of our favorite
One of
squares.
ours.
Yes,
Yeah.
it's very different because it's nice and small and charming.
Mm-hmm. Well, the advantage of Avignon, I would say.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, beautifully, actually.
Okay, good. It's just because it's black, and at some point, maybe we just talked to her.
No, this is the best quality video and sound we've had the whole time, so it's great.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, right. Because
Beautiful.
the other part of the visit, I'm sorry, but we were surrounded by people and bongos and all the rest. I'm sorry, it was life, right? People. And now we're in a street
what?
where
That
there's
was great to
literally
see.
nobody.
No, it's great to
Okay,
see, because
good.
I do think there is somewhat of an impression that that nothing's going on, and that Italy is abandoned and France is abandoned and all of Europe is empty. And I know from talking to you guys and to my friends all over Europe, that's really not true. That cities are just as busy as they've ever been, but it's just it's not with tourists.
No, it's with people, tourists from other areas. I mean, a lot of Europeans this year say also, you know what, I always wanted to go maybe to southern France. I never did because I always went, I'm just saying now, to the United States because I always wanted to be there in summer. So now this year, well, I will not, or any other area, anywhere else. So a lot of people visit maybe the places that are closer, and but they haven't had a chance yet, so, or didn't take chance.
Local tourism is called. We're being more local, probably. I mean, French people being more local.
Yeah.
So yes. I mean, when I say I'm trying to avoid crowds, it's because there are crowds, right? I mean, it's actually what it is. That we're not just abandoned places. I mean, I remember seeing some of these photos and videos during our very severe lockdown that we had, right? And the people said, "Oh, it's so beautiful," and I thought it was scary, right? Because cities without people doesn't mean anything, right? See what I mean?
It's creepy.
So even it's creepy. It's really
It is,
creepy.
it's creepy.
Yes.
Yeah,
I
like
hated
that
that.
Easter Sunday thing
Yeah.
they did with Andrea Bocelli singing in the Duomo of Milan. Everybody was crying and thought that was so inspirational, but I thought that was really creepy. Like that really, I did not like that.
I mean, culture in any way, it's like the festival here obviously was a kind of a grief that we had to go through for a lot of people, because of the theater festival is just this huge amount of people in Avignon. I mean, last year we had over 1,200 different shows, representations, and people just gathering and enjoying. And if you have all that culture but no people, it doesn't mean anything. Now we have no culture but a lot of people. Can you see where we are right now?
Beautiful. Yeah. What a lovely little square.
Getting out of the way.
This is one of our favorite squares.
Yes,
right?
that's
This is, by the way, called the St. Peter's Square. A little smaller than the one in Rome, all right. But it's called the St. Peter's Square, Place Saint-Pierre, because of the church that is situated here. You see the entrance of the church there. Well, maybe we'll come a little closer so we can see the doors. I love the wooden doors there. And well, we're turning around. Yeah. So we have a restaurant here. Now we're getting into a little more noise again. Sorry.
This even looks like a little square part of like the Latin Quarter in Paris. It really has such a,
it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
So we just wanted to show you that we have this church over here, and the entrance is incredible. I mean, the church itself construction started in the 14th century, and the end of the construction is approximately 150 years later. We'll turn around so you can see it.
Get away.
But I wanted, So you see this Gothic, well, it's not Gothic, it's beginning Gothic, right? Beginning it's Gothic, and then it gets into, if you look at the details, it gets into something Renaissance, late Gothic, flamboyant Gothic, right? Beginning Renaissance, late Gothic. And so another one of the churches, right? We have a cathedral, which is up by the Pope's Palace.
Well, and architecturally, I think that that's one of the things I find most interesting about France is that, you know, when we talk about Gothic in Italy, it's not really good Gothic. The Gothic we think about, you know, with the spires and all of the tracery and all of that, that is primarily French Gothic. So when we speak about Gothic, it's kind of important to distinguish the different kind we all think about as Gothic is what you're looking at right there.
But even in France, right, we're saying the Pope's Palace is Gothic, as you were saying, Daniela, but it's a southern French Gothic, right? It's a late Gothic compared to Notre Dame de Paris and all the other cathedrals in the north, right?
It's not as filigrane. It's not what we imagine, maybe Reims Cathedral or Amiens and all these very famous Gothic. It's more solid. It's more hanging because we're very southern and we are very particular, very influenced also by Italy. So it's hanging kind of very much in between the Romanesque and the Renaissance. It goes very quick. It is. You will not find the purest, most beautiful Gothic style. I mean, it's a very local style down here, which is also wonderful. And this is what we saw first. It's early, and this is late. So this is like flamboyant. You see the flames actually. I think that's what it's higher.
Yeah.
But
Well,
the star of this facade.
We do have one other connection between France and Italy that's important in Avignon, and that is that the reason the Pope left was because of. Why did
I don't know. Tell us.
Well, they should be in Rome, by the way, right? But there was a little lady who came by that is a lady called Caterina of Siena, right? Who actually persuaded the Pope, one of the popes, right, to go back to Rome. And one of our mutual friends and fellow tour guides, Anna, thinking about you, Anna, loves Caterina of Siena. And Caterina of Siena was here. Caterina is this rare woman in the 14th century.
Anna lives in Siena also. That's the detail.
So Caterina was really this incredible woman that could actually persuade the Pope perfectly.
Can we show the doors? Because these are
the reason why they went back to Rome is obviously that's where the Pope should be. Interesting enough is anything really happening of construction-wise, I'm thinking, in Rome in the 14th century. Because I remember last time I went back to Rome and it was just, I found one church, built in the 14th century. I thought that was quite interesting. All the rest, anything when we think about Rome and the Vatican and all the rest, right, is later, isn't it? It's 15th and 16th
Well,
century.
and the
9th.
issue with Rome during that period is that when the Pope leaves, nobody has any reason to go to Rome anymore because that's not where the money is. The money
Yeah,
during
right.
the 12, 13, and 1400s is all in Tuscany. It's in Florence, it's in Siena. It's in cities that are much more prosperous. In Rome, there's a lot of writing that Rome at that time was actually like a cesspool and it was really dangerous. So once the Pope left, all the economic activity evaporated because that was the business of Rome. So
Yeah.
big loss for Rome.
No, but the thing is, you imagine what that meant to Avignon, losing the Pope. I mean, obviously it was a little bit of an administration left here, but the Pope was not there. The cardinals were not here. I mean, there were 20 cardinals around each Pope in the 14th century. They each had a house in Avignon also. So if we talk about the economics of the city of Avignon, losing the Pope, going back to Rome was a disaster. I would say. It's actually a miracle that they survived after the Pope left. Yeah.
So what happens to the city of Avignon after the Pope leaves? What's the continuation of the story? Does it just sort of in time? I'm thinking like the city of Siena at the end of 1348 just basically dies because they don't have money, they can't build anything else. Is that the same for Avignon, where it's almost like a time capsule? After that date, it's just kind of finished, or does something else?
Not completely, right? The
Do you hear? Because there's a lot of music here now.
No, it's fine.
Is it okay?
Yeah. It's interesting with Avignon is that, as we mentioned that earlier, is that Avignon was owned by the church all the way up to 1791. So there's still a bit of the money. There's still
French
famous
Revolution.
families.
Until French Revolution.
French families are still here, or Italian families were established here. So there's a whole production, for instance, of silk in Avignon that not a lot of people know about. So the economy is maybe less booming than it was during the time of the popes, but there are other, say, activities like agriculture is really very important still today. So it's not completely at a standstill. It's really a slower, maybe continuation of what had been started in the 14th century by the Pope. But the French Revolution, 1789, right, meant that the church lost Avignon. They didn't even get the money back, right? It's just simply they lost it. The church, you might know, in France, the Catholic Church lost all their properties. And this is important also because then Avignon becomes part of France. Right? This is the moment when Avignon becomes part of France. A lot of people look at me like that when I say that during my guiding, go, what? We're in France. Go, yeah, but it's recent. You know.
It's sweet.
Yeah. No, but just to show you that we are
We are
actually
arriving at our final destination.
We have a little art gallery here, which is
A great one, by the way.
very
Beautiful,
nice.
wonderful artwork, which you can check out online too. We're gonna give you the information.
Great.
It's a beautiful place here, and guess what? It looks like
Good.
somebody
Good.
has prepared a little table for us.
Oh,
Yes.
wow.
Yeah.
Look for all three of us and our friends.
Sarah, you joining us?
Yeah.
Can you see it?
There's a glass
Can
for
you
you,
see
Sarah. Look at that.
Oh, look at that. There's one for me too. Oh,
We should get a beautiful, wonderful.
And we have a
bottle of rosé,
beautiful
and we
rosé
should
wine,
get
yeah. Yeah.
and John, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
beautiful. All right.
that was completely improvised. Completely improvised.
I can tell. Yeah, that was what a surprise
Okay,
that somebody
okay,
knew I
okay,
was
let's-
coming.
Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? I mean, it was like, we were saying Sarah is not joining us, but virtually she is. And I'm just going to say hello to my good friend John here.
Hello, Sarah.
Bonsoir.
Hi.
Hello, nice to meet you.
How are you?
Excellent.
John is
Thank
the
you very
owner.
much. It's a little early for a drink for me, so I'm going to pass because it's not even noon here yet. So thank you. But
I'm sorry, I cannot hear what you say. I'm
John.
sorry.
No, but it's always time for a glass somewhere in the world. You know that, Sarah.
There is one glass for her anyway.
Thank you, John.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
I'll just show you just a quick look. It's just one of the several galleries that we have in Avignon.
And we cannot go inside right now because
John
we would
is
have
wearing
to
a mask. Yeah, right now. I'm
Exactly.
just showing you from the outside.
enter cleaning.
So he's
everything
wearing a
there.
mask, and here we have the cleaning up the hands, etc.
So it's better to sit out and have a glass
Yeah.
of rosé, Sarah.
So we're sitting outside.
Then,
so what goes with the rosé? What kind of little snacks do we have today?
Yes. Well,
So
we're spoiled because John is spoiling.
He has put us
Oh my
up for
God.
something incredible here, right? Whoops. So can you see? So this what we have here, right? These, of course, this the famous saucisson, right?
Salami style.
Salami style, yeah. Here we have these little like cherry tomatoes
Peppers.
that actually stuffed with
Cream
I'm
cheese, goat
guessing,
cheese.
yeah, goat cheese, right?
It's mild
Probably
goat cheese. Very mild.
Goat cheese.
Beautiful.
And this is goat cheese.
Goat cheese.
Voilà. So here we have goat cheese and with a little bit of ham around it. It is
Lovely.
such a little nice thing. And ça c'est quoi? This I'm asking about. Ça c'est quoi? What is this? It's like a fish thing.
Fish or tomato.
Yeah, like a fish
tomato
mousse,
spread.
right,
And
yeah.
we have grissini,
And grissini,
with
the
sesame.
right, lovely. Yeah.
Beautiful. I can smell it all the way 5,000 miles away. It
Oh,
smells
good for you.
delightful.
Wow.
One of the questions I think Americans often have, Americans and North Americans, our Canadian friends too, may have, is about rosé, because rosé is something I think, at least in here, it has had not such a great reputation. I
know.
think it hasn't been so great, but I love drinking cold rosé in the summertime when I'm in France. So what is the deal with rosé?
See, a lot of people, as you say, think of rosé as a lesser wine, but really, I mean, if you come down here, we have what I can see, what we have been served there is Montredon.
So how you get your glass?
Sarah, there's a glass for you.
Oh, thank you.
So here we go. Like this bottle here, which is really a incredible wine. Can you see the label there? Montredon.
I can, yeah.
Is the wine producer. The village, though, is Lirac. Lirac, Lirac. And next to Lirac, you also have a village called Tavel, Tavel. And their rosé wines are such, I mean, an incredible blend of grapes, first of all, and aromas and colors. And it's the rosé is really, I mean, here we have liters of rosé in the summer because the red wine gets too hot.
Because it's,
Hey,
because it
Danielle,
gets,
can you
it's
try
cool.
to hand me my glass again, please? Try to
Yeah.
hand that glass to me, please.
So I hand you your glass and look at the color also when you see your glass actually.
That's
so this
beautiful.
is not a very, this is
Okay.
a beautiful color. And chin.
Give
Yes,
me-
here we go, here we go.
Thank you.
There we
Thank
go.
you. Thank you.
Oh, magic.
Well done. Magic works.
Through the
Yeah,
magic
that's
of the
so-
internet. We can
And so now
cheers
you should do a
together,
nice
all right? Salute,
chin.
ladies.
Salute. Salute.
Santé
Perfect.
in French is santé, right? To your health.
Santé.
Santé. Oui. Mm.
I like the fact that they say to your health, right? Because it is
It's beautiful,
it's even more
wonderful.
important.
If you don't
Because,
have
I mean, the interesting,
Well, you get it from the wine, right? Sure.
At least you can pretend you have health.
thank you, Barbara. That was sweet.
Oh, this is incredible. This
Very
is,
good. And you know the thing, so rosé was seen also here very much like the girls kind of drink wine. It was a long time, but it has, like in the US in the last 10 years, it got quite very big push, good marketing, but also the quality got really much better now. So this is really something to explore, and a lot of people have discovered it. Winemakers have discovered it. We love it here because it's cool. We can drink it fresh, cool. So red wine is maybe hot because it's great on the terrace. And even here, people so you know this is not black and white, the world of wine. So you see there are actually ice cubes here, and there's nothing else what we could drink with the ice cubes than the wine. So this is an exceptional, wonderful rosé wine. I would not put ice cubes here, but sometimes you can actually. But this is a total. Some people now will fall over. She just said that we should do a wine tour at some point. But
I'm in.
yes, I'd love to do that. I'd love to do that. Yeah. We talk about that. Anyway, so yes, it's great. It's great to discover. And rosé wines are not sweet. That's the important thing. They are dry actually in general.
Yeah, and the more dry, the better, I think. And the thing also that I find fascinating about rosés in France is that a bottle of decent rosé should cost you, what, 6 or 7 euros at the grocery store?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's fine and it's decent. It's not, you're not gonna probably drink, well, maybe you will the rest of your life about it, but it is absolutely good.
Drinkable. Yeah,
Good, right.
it's
Yes,
going to be good enough.
decent,
So.
as you say.
Yeah.
Yes, so we, yeah.
All right, my friends who are on the call, does anybody else have any other questions they would like to ask? You can go ahead and unmute yourself if you do have questions for the girls. Anyone want to talk to the girls before we go? I think all of our viewers that are with us on the Zoom call have decided to dig into their.
To have a glass of wine.
I
To
guess.
stare down in the cellar, getting. You should. It's what time is it? What time is it?
It's 12 o'clock for you.
It
It's
is now
fine. It's
noon,
fine.
so I can, yeah.
It
So
is. It's
cheers
fine.
to
You
the
gotta
afternoon. It
You
is
gotta have
afternoon.
a toast with us.
There you go.
Something.
Okay.
Tin, salute again. It was a great pleasure.
Lovely. Barbara, do you have a question?
No, I was just going to say this has been wonderful. Thank you very much.
Good. Glad you liked it. You have to come by one day. Have you ever been to Avignon or?
No, I had planned to be there this May and June, but perhaps next May and June.
Yes,
Absolutely.
We
May
surely
and
hope
June.
so.
That is sounds like nice vacation. Nice long
May
vacation.
and June, too much. And it's a nice
We will
moment,
be here.
and it's a nice moment of the year also to come. Right now, July, August, it's hot. Right, but May and June, you have colors coming out, flowers coming, out everywhere, and the weather is
From beginning May on, or
really,
April
really
also,
nice.
Yeah, it's very, very
So it's a better moment to come if you like, for instance, hiking or just walking simply around in the streets of the cities, and there are less people also. Less people because of the summer vacation for the French people in July and August, obviously.
I see my friend Paul is on the line. Paul, do you have a question for us? He is a wine lover of the highest degree.
I'm surprised you remember, Sarah.
Oh, Paul, I remember. How could I ever forget you? We drank maybe the best bottle of wine ever together.
Oh, you're too kind. Now, I just wanted to say bonsoir, Madame. Thank you so much for this. It's been wonderful. We're shut in here in Virginia. We're enjoying a really nice Chateauneuf-du-Pape, and watching it. I would have found a rosé. Could I have found one? And it would have been apropos. But thank y'all so much. We're shut in
Thank
here.
you, Paul.
It's been a breath of fresh air, and we get to get out.
It's a pleasure to share. We miss it too. We miss to share our passion for our worlds.
It's tough for you to be locked down.
We will definitely visit very soon. I wanted to go to Avignon when we were traveling from Marseille up to Lyon, and we took a right turn and went to stay at Crillon-le-Brève.
Not too bad.
Beautiful.
Good choice.
Avignon is on my list, and thank you ever so much.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Oh, we miss guiding, right? We miss people down here. So,
all right,
so
my
we're
girls.
so pleasure.
So just to wrap everything up, I just wanted to thank you guys so much for joining me today. And I'd like to invite you back, and I have an idea. Why don't the three of us do a wine tasting?
Oh,
absolutely.
Oh,
I'd love to
anytime.
share that. I mean, I'm going to my sommelier thing, so I'd love to share that.
Okay, so let's plan
Good
that.
idea.
The three of us will do another live stream together, and I'll have to get wine too. So
yes,
of course
we can talk about it. What wines we talk about? Yes, we gotta learn.
Okay. Good idea.
So we'll
Good idea.
continue our conversation of exploring France, and also I know that you guys guide in other parts of France as well. So you are welcome to join us anytime. And I want to thank everybody who was on the Zoom call with us today. And I just want to remind you, I just started a Patreon this week, and those of you who are members of Patreon, even at $5 a month, you get to be on the Zoom calls if you want. So please go ahead and subscribe to my Patreon, and that's patreon.com/adventures with Sarah. $5 a month gets you involved in all of our delightful events. So please do join us, in every bit counts. Buy me a cup of coffee once a month. I think that's pretty fair. A glass of wine. If you buy a glass of wine once a month, there are extra special treats for those who buy a glass of wine every month. And also treats at the higher levels of support. So thank you so much for everybody's support and jumping in so quickly on the wagon. I'm really excited about this because this now is my profession. You guys are making this my profession. So thank you so much. And please join me and Daniela and Nina and a whole host of other wonderful guides. On Monday, we're going to be launching the Guide Collective. So please join me for Coffee Chat, 10 a.m. on Monday. And at the end of our Coffee Chat on Monday, we're going to kind of virtually cut the ribbon on our new venture together of all of these incredible guides who I just have so much respect for. And we're going to bring something new to the table in travel. And I'm really excited about that. So thank you to my ladies in France for joining in and trusting this project would be okay. So
Thank
here's
you.
to our new venture. Here's to the Guide Collective.
Bisous to new
To our new
adventures, to Guide
adventures.
Collective. Ciao, ciao.
À
Bisous.
bientôt. À bientôt.
Bisous.
See you soon.
All right. Thanks,
Au revoir.
everybody. I'll see you guys
Bye-bye.
at Cantina Quarantena this weekend, Saturday and Sunday, and Monday is Coffee Chat at the normal time, 10 a.m. Au revoir. Au revoir.